Hello everybody, I'm here to break down the Solo, a Star Wars story trailer. This is the official teaser. The teaser that they put out last night at the Super Bowl was much shorter than this. There's a little bit of footage in there that we don't really see in this. That said, we're just going to break down this one. It's really exciting that we're finally getting another story, a Star Wars story movie, because, you know, Rogue One was awesome. It was a really good movie, and I'm interested in seeing how they do this. So far, it looks like there's a lot of similarities with style and stuff like that. We'll talk about that as we go through. But that said, you got to remember, we're like right off the back of The Last Jedi, so we haven't heard anything about this movie until now. And this movie's out in like a few months, which is crazy. It's out in May, and I'm really excited to kind of see what's happened with it, because they changed directors, and they did a few other things with it that are kind of unique and different as far as like production is concerned for a Star Wars movie. So we'll see how it ends up panning out. Hopefully it's a lot better than it could be if they had to change directors and go kind of a different direction with stuff. So hopefully you've already watched the trailer. I'm just going to pretty much do what we've done before in Star Wars trailers. I'm just break this down frame by frame. It's really quite cool. We're going to see that the music is different because they have a different guy doing them. The music is completely different. And then the style is very much Rogue One. And what I mean by that is all this street stuff we're about to see looks very much like it does in Rogue One when they're on like Scarif and whatnot. And it's interesting, or not Scarif, but on whatever that stupid planet is. I don't remember the name of it. The thing is, like, they have a very dirty style that you kind of expect from A New Hope. And this movie is going to take place a bit before A New Hope, quite a bit before, because in A New Hope, Han Solo is like in between his like 30s and his like late 30s. Like that's kind of where he's at. And if you look at this story, he's going to be much younger than that. So there's a bit of a gap there, but it still is kind of within that time frame of A New Hope style-wise. So just like Rogue One, we're going to kind of see a lot of that technology here. And we already do with this dang speeder that looks pretty cool, but also very dirty. And I needed to point this out. Let me get into a better light here. You can see right here in the middle, he does have his dice. Han Solo does have his dice that we did get to see in The Last Jedi, which is, it's cool that it's there. It's like, okay, they clearly made that prop with the idea that it was going to be crossed over. And as far as the actors are concerned, he looks kind of like Harrison Ford did at the time, and he sounds nothing like him, which I don't think that's going to be a big problem. I've seen a lot of people hating on it, and Emilia Clarke's in the movie. Oh, there you go. So this kind of stuff right here is what I'm talking about by the street stuff. Is very Rogue One. The practical effects on top of the like very dirty look that they're giving us is really interesting, and I like that a lot. The only problem is it kind of feels separate from the other Star Wars movies. And if that's what they're going for, then that's awesome. But I think they have to be careful not making it feel too different. And by the way, this little bike thing that the Stormtrooper is riding is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, he doesn't last very long. But the speeders they're using are really cool. This thing off over on this left-hand side, whatever this thing is also a pretty cool speeder, but these look very dirty. They don't look clean like you would expect them to look if they were, you know, doing the prequel stuff, and they don't look anything like they do in the new canon stuff. So it's very interesting, to say the least. I'm enjoying it. But this planet they're on is an Imperial-controlled planet, and that makes a lot of sense based on what we're going to hear him say. So the thing is, here, I'm actually going to skip forward a little bit because I accidentally went back. But the thing is, all of the dialogue here is going to give us quite a bit of an idea of how things are going to pan out, essentially, when it gives us dialogue. So he says, I was kicked out of the flight academy.
For having a mind of my own.
Yeah, for having a mind of his own. The interesting thing there to keep in mind is in kind of the old stuff, in the old story for Han Solo, he was training to be an Imperial pilot. He was in the Empire. He was going to be a pilot for them. And essentially, he sees this Wookiee being abused, and he goes up and stops the Imperials from doing it, and he gets kicked out of, this is like a generalization of what happened. He gets kicked out of the academy. And then he goes and becomes a smuggler. And that Wookiee turns out to be Chewbacca, who, in him saving him from that, pledges his life debt. So it is kind of interesting. I don't know if that is going to be how they end up doing it, because I think it'll be a little different, not a lot different, but it'll be interesting to see that. I have no idea what this planet is, but it's got snow, and it looks cold, but this is clearly a new planet.
I'm going to be a pilot.
At least that we've seen in the movies thus far. He says, I'm going to be a pilot. He's wearing a fur jacket, which is funny because, you think back to The Force Awakens, where he was like super cold on Starkiller Base because he didn't really have a nice jacket. And then this one he does. So I like that there is a weird little connection there between those two movies, with Chewie giving him his like massive like snow jacket and all that. Here we see this is the Falcon. This is the new. It's brand new. Like, look, this is clean. This is not gross like the old one. I like the look of this. I have my thoughts on it, which I'll share here in a moment.
Best in the galaxy.
This little shot here, if I back that up a bit, you do see that there's either two suns or two moons. So whatever planet they're on, it could be Tatooine. I don't think it is, because they're in kind of like a sandstorm, but it does appear to be more at night. And if it's at night, why would there be two suns? I believe it's two moons. So I don't think it's Tatooine. Those are my thoughts on that. Although you do see this sand planet, this definitely isn't Tatooine. There's some kind of like crazy gun emplacement, I think is what that is. And I'm going to back that up again so we can kind of hear that real quick. So Woody Harrelson, however you pronounce his name, is in this movie. He looks like he's going to be a great character. Essentially, he's the one getting this group together to do this like heist. I feel like this is going to be a heist movie. It's the vibe I get. And I'm really into that because, if you ever played Star Wars: The Old Republic, if you ever played the smuggler stuff, you will know kind of what I'm talking about here, where I want this movie to be very seedy and not good and bad people like working against it. It's just like a ton of like really shady people in this movie. That's what I hope for. And I think that they could do a good job of that if they kind of stick to that more smuggler-esque story. I think that's what they're going to do. But you hear him say, "Hey, kid." Come on, do I need to say it? Obviously, that's where Han gets it later on.
I'm putting together a crew.
So he's putting together a crew. Again, I did it again. I went. Thankfully, I've had this set up. So the thing to keep in mind is on certain different shots here, right there, there is like these pillars, and I don't know where this is or what this is. I don't know what planet this is on. It could be on a new planet. It could be on a planet we don't know, but this is very interesting because it appears that this is tribal or like old stuff in origin. So it could be Force stuff, but they could be there and it not really have much of an effect. Obviously, he's getting together a crew.
I'm putting together a crew.
We see her again. She's looking pretty awesome with the new droid that they're going to be running with. And Donald Glover, why are you so magnificent? We have Lando. He looks great. He looks just like him. I think he's going to be able to pull off. I mean, he's doing the smile just fine. I think he's going to pull off everything about Lando. So good on him. We got this awesome chick with a crazy gun. I didn't look at this gun earlier. It does appear to be kind of like what's the word for it? Like a collapsible stock kind of gun, but it does appear to be like a rifle or something. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see what that weapon is and kind of seeing new weapons within the Star Wars universe. You got this crazy thing with 4 arms. New alien. Who knows what that is? We got his character in the background there. So this is actually a ship that we see them driving in the teaser they put out during the Super Bowl. And then we have this scene. We only see it for a brief second, but we have to keep in mind the color palette here. I did the same thing when we broke down the the Last Jedi trailer, there was a scene where they tried to kind of bait and switch of like Rey saying like, I need someone to show me the way, and like she holds out her hand, and it's basically Kylo Ren holding out his hand, but it's two different scenes. You saw like the flicker of the light, so one was obviously with like backlit fire, one was not, so they were definitely two different areas. I'm going to compare something like that here because I feel like this is giving us an idea. Obviously, they're gambling, right? This is what they're doing. I think this may be the scene that Han wins the Falcon from Lando. It could be. I'm not sure, but it could be. And I say that because, is it this one? You can see the two lights here. So I'll compare it. So you can see it there. And then if I back it up, you see it there. You see similar like background characters and stuff. I think that is exactly what it may be. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure. Also, we see him with his, blaster, which we'll see again here in a minute.
You in?
Chewie, obviously, good. And that was the first time I heard that, the way that he said it.
You in?
Does kind of sound like Han Solo, at least there. Oh, but that's not Han Solo, so that's perfect. Great. That proves my point that this guy sounds and looks not anything like Harrison Ford when he was young, but I don't think that's going to be a problem.
That's yes.
See what I mean? Awesome with the droid. Lando's ship, because remember, the ship is Lando's, so he wins the ship from him. We see Lando driving the ship, flying the ship here, which is cool, and Han Solo in the background, or in the back seat. Some crazy bar. This might be on that desert planet. It kind of looks like it is. Some cool dancer with like a cool alien. Love the style that everything's going on here. I think that's a Twi'lek in the background. It may very well be. Nope, it's just someone walking behind them. Actually, you know what? Let's look at the crowd here. Because there's a familiar alien there. There's a lot of humanoids. There is a Twi'lek here. And it's hard to tell everything else because of the artifacting. But, I love this style. It's very unique.
That might be the only person.
Him with his blaster. This is awesome. I think these are just mercenaries. But that said, this guy in the middle may very well be a Mandalorian. I don't think he is. I'm actually pretty certain he is not, because Mandos have a specific armor type.
Nice.
We'll see him closer up here. It's really cool looking, but it's got that Arabesh written on it. It could be Mandalorian. It's got the tusks, so it's got some of the Mandalorian things and themes going on with it. I don't believe that he is a Mandalorian. Could be, though. Could very well be. I would like to see the Mandalorians coming out after Han Solo, because they are bounty hunters afterwards, most of them. But it would be cool. I would like to see that. We get kind of a dirty ship here, which is, I like this style. I like everything going on with this. Again, it reminds me of Rogue One. But I should say, if we back this up a few more frames, I think this is Lando, because if you think of his Empire Strikes Back, sorry, Return of the Jedi garb with like the mask with the teeth on it and everything that he's wearing in Jabba's palace, I think that's what he's wearing here, so I think this is Lando. Cool droid. We get this is obviously that snow planet. This is a crate, a shipping crate, a container, and they are trying to like steal it.
You really are.
Which, if you didn't see that, let me just go back real quick. They do have like lines attached to it, so they have stolen it from a cargo train.
Really are.
And obviously things go bad because there's an explosion.
What's that?
I like that there. I got to replay that. I wanted to point that out as kind of a thing. He may not look like Harrison Ford at that age, but he does have the smile down and then the awkward like unsmile.
What's that?
Like this the what's the word I'm looking for? The swallowing of the spit in his mouth, or he's trying to keep it cool. This is awesome. And then we have this Really cool shot. I'll explain the Falcon in a minute, but you've got this cool Star Destroyer who's coming through the clouds. You have some TIE fighters who are chasing down this new TIE fighter here, which has this kind of extra bit on it, some kind of dual cannons. It's cool. It's something we haven't seen. I'm kind of excited about that. We see Lando not flying the ship. We see Chewie as the co-pilot, which means it is a huge possibility that at this point, Han Solo has the Falcon. So he could very much win it from Lando in this movie. And if that is the case, then we have to consider that what they're doing right now, and they're being chased down, might end up being the Kessel Run, which I would love to see. Maybe I wouldn't love to see it, but we'll see. And we get this cool shot of them doing this thing. And I want to pause there because you see, this does not look like the Falcon because it doesn't have the open bit in the middle. But you got to remember that the YT-1300 freighters are just that. They're freighters. The spot in the middle is open so that way it can latch on. It's like a Lego brick. It latches onto like these big things in space that it then can take places, like these big freight like train things that it can launch through hyperspace and whatnot. So it is a freighter in the fact that it kind of connects like a train to another piece and it pushes that piece along. That the empty bit here is essentially just filled in. So I don't know what's going on there. It could be that they modify the ship to one of these other models in order to do the Kessel Run. It doesn't matter. It's different here, but I'm pretty sure, 100% sure, this is the Falcon. It's just a matter of we're going to see what ends up happening with the front of the ship. I believe.
Thought we were in trouble there for a second, but it's fine. We're fine.
The look on his face. Crazy alien in space. Kind of reminiscent of the giant space worm in A New Hope, which is cool. I'm okay with that. In fact, most Star Wars movies have these kind of crazy space worms when you think about it, or it's like weird aliens as of late. Like you look back to the trash compactor, you look back to, was it A New Hope? No, it wasn't A New Hope. Was it that they did I don't remember. You look at the prequels with just the mess. I'm not even going to talk about this. But then, more recently you have like the Rathtars and stuff like that. So we're getting these weird, like, big aliens in every movie. I think that's just what that's going to be. And that's fine. If that's the Kessel Run, I'm excited. Movies coming out Memorial Day. There's so much to be excited for with this movie. I don't see how it could go wrong. The style is very much Rogue One, and I like that style a lot. I wish that they would utilize that a bit more. Don't get me wrong, The Last Jedi was one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. The way it was shot, the way it was framed, all the special effects, everything in it was one of the most beautiful movies. That said, it didn't quite feel like The Force Awakens, and it didn't quite feel like Rogue One. And I kind of want them to go a little bit back to that style because I really like this style that they have. This movie is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for it. If there's more trailers, we'll break them down. Let me know if you guys found anything that I didn't, or you guys have any thoughts on, the Kessel Run or taking the ship from Lando and just like all of this stuff that is really cool. Even the life debt stuff, and see if that has anything to do with this movie, if we're going to find that out, if Han Solo is going to save Chewie and do the life debt and everything. It doesn't matter. It's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to this. And I'm kind of excited to see what the next Star Wars story movie is going to be. We'll probably hear about that sometime this year as well. With that being said, we shall see you guys next time.